Welcome to the Overgivers Anonymous podcast. My name is Angela Mondor, also known as the Geeky Girl. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about some amazing things to help you get over overgiving. Hi, and welcome to this episode of the Overgivers Anonymous podcast. My name is Angela Mondor, and I'm also known as the Geeky Girl. Today, I have a unique guest for us. Sandy Skarlata is a recruiting strategist and peak performance expert, two-time award-winning author, and retired professional athlete. Her journey is one of resilience and transformation and empowerment. For much of her life, Sandy struggled with feelings of not being good enough, and it was that she was her own worst and harshest critic. Driven by perfectionism and self-doubt, she relentlessly pursued success, only to discover that the key fulfillment was already within her. The profound realization led to a life dedicated to helping others unlock their full potential. With over 3 decades of experience in human resources, coaching, personal development, and media, Sandy is a certified life coach since 2004, a Reiki master, teacher, NLP practitioner, and a retired U.S. national and international figure skating coach. She's a gold medalist in ice dancing and has spent the past 20 years guiding individuals and teams to achieve lasting transformation. Her expertise extends to corporate leadership, where she has over 30 years of experience leading and motivating teams with authenticity and passion. Sandy is the host of Happiness Solved podcast, which has surpassed 5 million downloads and ended at episode 440. And the host of the upcoming show, The Cutting Edge Conversations, a nod to skating over there. Through her social media platforms, Sandy empowers audiences to master their mindset, overcome limiting beliefs, and achieve excellence. She lives in Northern Virginia with her husband, son, and their Yorkie poo, Buster. That's awesome. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Angela. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
It's absolutely wonderful to have you. I mean, I was a figure skater when I was a little girl, and it's an interesting jaunt because my husband played hockey and our daughter played hockey. And it's so funny because years ago I thought, I'm gonna go try using hockey skates to go skating. Have you tried to use hockey skates, Sandy?
Oh yeah. I played hockey for a little bit.
Oh, well, okay. Well, you're well more versed than I am then, because I got on those skates and I sure missed that extra, inch or so worth of blade behind me.
Well, it's the toe pick. It doesn't have a toe pick. That's the problem.
Right. But I noticed that my body, I wasn't quite like with a hockey stance, you have to be more forward leaning. Whereas with the figure skater, you are more, standing straight.
Yeah.
So not having the stuff behind me was what messed me off.
Yeah. Yeah. Figure skating blades they're longer, they're flatter, and that toe pick is necessary to jump and spin.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I never had a problem with the pick.
My 3 brothers played ice hockey. My father coached it. And in the 70s, I wanted to play ice hockey. And I was told, no, girls don't play ice hockey. You put on a tutu and you figure skate. So that's what I did. So after my son was born in 2000, I was like, I'm going to play ice hockey. And I had been training hockey players already. And I had hockey skates. So whenever I would be working with a hockey player, I'd put on my hockey skates. So I was very comfortable going back and forth. And I bought all the equipment and I played ice hockey and didn't like it. I'd always wanted to. And I'm like, this kind of sucks, wearing all this equipment and holding a stick and chasing after this puck. I'm like, no, too much. It's like you have very little mobility. I'm like, I don't know how they do it. So I was like, done.
Peace out.
Not for me.
Right. Yes. But, I think it's interesting to, if you're listening to this podcast and you've never skated before, that's okay too. But, the fact that both sports are on ice and both sports have, blades that you're literally gliding on. I mean, regardless, you think about, of course, we just finished the Olympics, right? The 2026 Winter Olympics. So if you've paid attention and you did any kind of watching, you might have seen speed skaters or all kinds of other, there's different kinds of blades. And I think that we could really flip that and look at neurodivergence, even neurotypical people, and thinking about the different tools that we have and the different ways that I can't help it, gliding through life.
It's true. And it's a great euphemism. Yes. Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Because we are.
And some work well for some people and some don't, right?
Well, I mean, that's kind of how the past 35 years, these slogans are kind of cliche, but they work and they're true. And like I have this new necklace on because it's got baby blue in it and it's a wave. You can't see the details, but it's all these crystals and it's a wave. And I wear a lot of baby blue and I didn't have any necklaces. And this reminds me when I wear it, I heard like, oh my gosh, years and years ago, someone said, I'm a surfer girl. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, yeah, just ride the waves. And I've hung on to that because life is like that. I mean, it's so much up and down, and this happens and that happens. I mean, and my life has been filled with that. And it's been good. It's been bad. It's been stressful. It's been crazy. It's been, fill in the blank. I've experienced it all. And at the end of the day, I'm grateful for it because that's what makes being human so special because we get to experience. We don't have to, we get to experience love and joy. And to experience love and joy, you have to experience pain and hurt because you can't have one without the other. It's just, that's not the world we live in. There's light, there's darkness, there's good, there's evil. I mean, that it's just how we are. And in order to appreciate the good times, you got to go through the bad stuff.
Well, and I think that, people look at anybody that they see as successful, right? They see
Mhm.
somebody on this, social media or, look at you and think, oh, gold medalist, like, wow. I mean, you had to have been the most confident, amazing human being. But people don't understand that you also had your darkness. You also had those
Of
times when
course.
you felt like you weren't worth being on the team or, being, recruited and all those kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, and I do want to clarify my gold medal in ice dancing is a level. It's not because people think, oh, you're an Olympic gold medalist. No, I'm not. No, I'm not an Olympic gold medalist. Never went to the Olympics. I didn't even make it to US nationals. So the reason that I got my gold medal in ice dancing is because of my lack of confidence and wanting to achieve something that I didn't do when I was a kid. So it's a level. So getting a gold medal in whether it's ice dancing, pair skating, or figure skating, because those are the levels. It's like a black belt, like a third degree black belt or something. It's a level, and it was so important to me because I was coaching and I didn't have that,
Mm.
and I wanted to feel better about myself as a coach, and so that's why I went after it and I accomplished it. And it was difficult because as an adult, I did a standard gold medal test. So if you're over 25, you can test as an adult and it's easier. I didn't do that. I tested as a standard skater and I got that when I was 34. So I could have at the age of, over 25, I could have just done the standard way, but I was like, no, I want the real thing because I've been on the
Right.
ice since I was 3. And I'm like, I wanted that. It's like getting your degree, your bachelor's degree or your master's, it's like, I want this because I didn't finish it when I was a kid. And it was like,
And
it
I
was
think that's
complete.
really, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's so cool because some people, like for you, having I need this level, I need this demarcation from
Hmm.
this organization to say that I can do the thing. And then
Right.
I'm completely the opposite. I'm like, I don't want any of those like demarcations and I don't want any of those certifications that other people give me. I want to prove my own worth. And it's so interesting how it doesn't matter how we get to where we get, but that we honor what's inside us. And I think it's so interesting that our own journeys and how we move through not feeling good enough or putting too much pressure on ourselves and understanding this is the thing that's going to help me resolve this and I'm going to use it, right? And
Right.
it's wild to me how different, and there's so many other different paths that anybody could take.
Hmm. Yeah. And for me, I don't, yes, I am certified in NLP, timeline therapy, hypnosis, life coaching. I don't even do that. Like I have a recruiting firm. I get those certifications because I want to, it just helps me be a better person. And I'm curious and I want to learn. And I've been a self-help junkie for 35 years. And, before we hit record, I was like, I'm an NLP practitioner. I'm not an expert, but at some point I probably will take the next course just because I want to learn. And I just am so hungry for this knowledge. And if we stop learning and growing, what else is there? What else is there? I
I
feel like
agree. I
every
think
day, yeah, yeah.
it's so interesting to, and as an entrepreneur, I think that it is one of the best self-help programs you could possibly take on.
Yeah.
Because those of us who continue to learn and to grow and to evolve and change with the situation, we're able to literally evolve and change our business as we go. And
Right.
for the people who are more stagnant, it's harder for them to continue their businesses when things go crazy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because being an entrepreneur, it's constant pivots, constant pivots. And yeah, and I pivoted last year. I ended my podcast at episode 440. Now I'm launching the new one, but it's feeding into my recruiting business because it's going to be a leadership business, AI recruiting, kind of just general podcast. But I pivoted. I pivoted, and sometimes we start on a path and we're like, okay, this is where I need to be going. But sometimes that's not always what's best for you. It's not always what's right for you. And I learned that and pivoted. And I, was like, okay. And that's what you have to do in life. You just have to be willing to pivot. And, sometimes the universe will send you messages. Universe, God, whatever you call it, you will, if you're open to receive, you will get messages. And it was like, as soon as I decided to end that podcast and put that chapter behind me, doors opened up. And it's been such an incredible ride ever since. So,
And I think
yeah.
that's so, like, for me, when I think about the pivots that I've made in my business, I mean, I've owned this business since 2009. So I'm clearly not doing what I did then, right? And you're right. Like when you get this sort of feeling, something's not right, I'm not really sure. And then you start to kind of dig into, or like for me, I had an accident in May, so my business has changed a lot since then because I can't do some of the things I used to do. So there's, the outward, it's not an internal change that had to happen. It was, here's some reality for you, honey. What are you going to do now? Right? So
Yeah.
there's the outward forces that happen, but then there's these internal ones too. But when you allow yourself to feel into, I think, for me anyway, right? Like that external force and say, okay, I still believe everything happens for a reason. So here we are. We're in this situation. And so now this pivot that's happening, you don't have to. I'm always a glass half full person to begin with. So I look at
Yes.
it and think, okay, so what do I want to do now? How
Yeah,
can I use my gifts the best way I can, right?
exactly. That's exactly right. And sometimes it shows up in a different manner than what we thought. And it's that being flexible. And you have to, as a business owner, you have to be flexible and be willing to pivot in a moment's notice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and if nothing else, 2020 really should have taught us all that, right?
exactly.
We walked into 2020 and we thought, business as usual. First quarter, we went, what happened to the planet?
I know. I know. And you remember, like, it was like 2020, New Year's Day, 2020, like, yes, it's a new decade. Like, oh, this is going to be incredible. And then March comes around and you're like, what?
Yes.
It was just
Time to toss
crazy.
that out the window. Let's pick a new plan.
I know. My husband and I have been home working together 24/7 for 6 years. It's amazing that we've survived, but we're stronger than ever. Like our marriage is stronger than ever, you know?
It's awesome.
So
I hope
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
share an office.
Oh God, no, no. He sits on the couch. I have the office. This is my office. It's right here.
Fair. My husband and I tried to share an office before. It was just no bueno.
No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. And from during business hours, the we live in a townhome, so the second level is the dining room, the kitchen, and the family room. But during business hours, it's his office. So I have to be very quiet when I'm making my lunch, because
Yeah.
this is his office. But 6 o'clock comes, okay, go in another room because I'm turning the TV on and I'm making dinner and business is closed right now. But you have to
That's
work that
awesome.
out. It's the pivoting and like restructuring things. Everything changed, during COVID
Yeah.
for us. Everything. Yeah.
No kidding. We're all of us. Yes. So
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
talked earlier about like the different, healing modalities that you have been
Mhm.
certified in and that you've gone through, did you actually go see practitioners and then had them work on you and then that's how you got interested in it, or how did you land there?
It was a combination of both. I'm like, when you have a podcast, most people have a podcast because they want to get business. My podcast guests got business from me. Like that was kind of like how it was, like, oh, I want to try that. I want to try that. Like, oh, that looks good. That not 100%, but it was just kind of funny because it was the reverse, whereas like people would come on my podcast and I'd become a customer of them because I was interviewing people that were so incredible. And so for me, I've had so much childhood trauma, and it started when I was in the womb. And like my biological father was very physically and verbally abusive to my mother and my older siblings. And he died when I was 18 months old. So while I have zero memory of that, it is stored in our subconscious mind. Unconscious, some people say unconscious. I like to say subconscious. And so as I started to learn, because I was in, oh my gosh, I mean, I had so much childhood trauma. And then my brother died when I was 12. And like, it was just so much. And I was going through therapy, and I felt better. I got better. I felt better about myself. Things got good. But then there's still with these behaviors, and it was driving me crazy because I couldn't get rid of it. Like nothing was working, and I was getting frustrated. I'm like, I know that I have control over my brain, but I don't know how to control it because our subconscious mind, what most people don't recognize is it runs the show 80% of the time. 80%. So everything that we have seen, everything we've read, everything we've heard, everything we've learned is stored. Our brain is the most sophisticated computer because it remembers everything. We just don't know how to tap into it.
Agreed.
And
yes.
So I was on this journey about how can I learn about this? And that was when I interviewed my NLP hypnosis mentor, Reg Malhotra, and of the Neuromasters Institute, I believe it's called. They're based in Australia, but most of their students are in the United States. And he comes to the United States very often. I haven't met him in person yet because it's been virtual. Someday I will. He was in Las Vegas in December, and I just couldn't, break away for a week to go out there. But anyway, that was what I really, because those modalities tap into the neuroplasticity, the wiring of our subconscious mind, and you can rewire it. And I've always known that, but I didn't understand how to do it. So like I worked with a practitioner who did a lot of quantum techniques, and she was doing NLP. And then after I interviewed Reg and I stopped working with my coach, I was like, I really want to learn more about this. And it was just phenomenal. And I just absolutely love it. And people, hypnosis, I was one of those people that I thought that hypnosis was like this woo-woo thing. It was a trick, or you used it to stop smoking cigarettes, or it was this trick on a stage, right? Like that's what I thought. That is so far from the truth. Is it okay if I just explain what it is? Because it's one of those modalities that I give out free. I don't even promote myself as a hypnotherapist, but I will do free sessions for people just because I want to help, but it's not something that I focus on. But anyway, what happens with hypnosis is you're basically just being guided into a deep meditation. That's all it is. You're being guided into a deep meditation. And when you meditate, your brain goes into one of the brain waves called Theta. And the Theta brainwave state is kind of like that place where you may have experienced it right before you fall asleep or right when you're waking up and you're kind of in a dream, but you're kind of aware that there's something going on. You're in between that dream state and awake and awareness. That's the Theta state. And that is when you can rewire your subconscious mind. So any of these apps that are out there you listen to before you go to sleep, put it on repeat and listen to it. It's going to work, and you don't even know it because it's working as you're falling asleep. And even if you're asleep, you're still hearing that. Your subconscious mind is still getting that information. So that's one of the best things you can do. I go to sleep with my AirPods in, and I have different things that I don't do it every night, but I do it many times in a week, and I just let it play, and it just it's doing its job behind the scenes and you don't even know it. So that's the really cool thing about it. And when you go to a certified hypnotherapist and make sure the person is certified with the American Hypnotherapy Association, everything is scripted. But what they do is once they get you into that deep meditation, it's a trance. It's like sometimes you drive home from the grocery store and you're like, how did I get here? I don't even know
Yes.
how. I wasn't even conscious. I don't even remember how I got here, but I got here, right? That's a trance.
Yeah.
When you're walking, sometimes you can go into a trance. And that's all it is. But what happens is when you get your when you get into that deep state of trance, meditation, hypnosis, the practitioner will give suggestions that you talk about before the session starts. And so they're giving you suggestions that are going to help rewire your brain and, erase the bad stuff and put the good stuff in. But it takes repetition, it takes practice. It's many times it's not one and done. Sometimes it can be, it just depends. But what I tell, the folks that I've worked with hypnotherapy, I give them the recording and I'm like, listen to it every day. And the ones that do it, I get messages saying it's working. I'm feeling better. It's amazing. Because you're just rewiring. You're just rewiring. It's just a practice. It's like getting rid of a bad habit, right? It takes,
It's
they
really
say,
interesting, like that theta wave stuff that you're talking about. There's kind of like this, everybody's talking about it now kind of thing. I mean, I've been around different modalities of healing my whole life.
right.
Well, not my whole life, but like since I was young anyway. There was a woman I went to, she did rapid eye therapy, which is
Yep.
similar to a
Mhm.
hypnosis kind of, you get into
Yep.
that theta. Um, I had this ridiculous, to me, it was ridiculous. To everybody around me, it was absolutely ridiculous. I was constantly worried that as soon as it got dark outside and the lights were on inside the house, that I would get shot through my window. I live in
Hmm.
Canada. We don't have a whole lot of gun problems. Like, we don't, I didn't ever live in a gang neighborhood or like, there's nothing like that. And so I went to her and I'm like, I don't understand what this is. Like, it's crazy. And going through the process with her, we found out that, again, like you said, something's inside there that you just didn't tap into.
Yeah.
When I was a child, I was about, might have been eight-ish or something. I was playing in the front yard with my cousin, and there was a bunch of SWAT team. I was living in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. You might not know where that is, but it is like
Mm.
Assenbach, Saskatchewan. Like there's, farms outside of our city. We were in a city, but like, and fun happens there, but whatever. Anyway, so there was a SWAT team that came through our yard, full gear and everything with their
Oh my
guns,
gosh.
and they ushered my cousin and I to the door. And when my mom answered the door, he said, "Get inside and get everybody on the ground so that you don't get shot through the window."
Oh my gosh. So that just planted a seed.
Right? So after my session, I went and said, "Mom, did this actually happen?" She's like, "Oh yeah," and she told me the story about the day, about all the bits and pieces. And it was a one and done for that particular instance. But I think
Good.
that if you have something that is definable, like this one thing is irritating, like this one thing, like I'm worried about getting shot through a window, it's very specific. But if it's like
Right.
I'm just unhappy with my life, then it's a little bit of a different sort of dig, right?
Absolutely. Without question. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. My biological father, I call him that because my mom remarried when I was 3, and that's my dad because he raised me.
Beautiful.
He's the only dad that I remember. But my biological father, there were times where he brought guns in the house and shot guns in the ceiling. And that's probably why I have a tremendous fear of guns. I've gone to a
Hmm.
shooting range once, and the first time I heard a shot, I screamed and I jumped.
Yeah,
And
trauma.
then I was like, okay, okay. And I did it. I held the gun and I shot it. And I still want to take a course. This was like 10 years ago, and I still haven't done it. I want to take a course. I am terrified of guns. And that's why, because it's just those things, we are so impressionable when we are children.
Hmm.
You can convince children of anything. And that's
Hmm.
why, parents need to really, your children are hearing everything you say before they can talk as their babies. Don't think that just because they can't talk, they're not hearing you. They are hearing everything. And the best time to screw up your kid is when they're a baby, when they're not talking. That's when they're going to get screwed up the most because
Right.
people think, oh, they're not paying attention. I'm like, oh, yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Yeah. And it's
Yes, they are.
interesting, like when you start learning about yourself and you start like sort of, I mean, I had a lot of childhood trauma as well, and so as you start to peel that apart and you start literally like an onion, right?
Yeah.
You start to look back at these things and think, wow, okay, like so I actually do. remembers the wrong, for me, remembers the wrong word, but like when you can pull up these events that your subconscious is hanging on to, right? To me, I think a memory is something that I actually remember versus, like as consciously remembers.
Right.
But you look at these things that come up and go, oh, wow, okay, so these things happened and I cataloged them, right?
Yep.
And you think about, I mean, you and I are both moms, so we think about what did my kids catalog? What did we do, right? We
Right.
think about like, I mean, before I was diagnosed with ADHD, I remember like getting him off in the morning it was so stressful and it was crazy and chaotic and there was all these things going on and I remember yelling more than I wanted to. And you think about, well, that's probably embedded in somewhere. They'll have to go through therapy for that later.
We all do the best we can. We all do the
Right?
best we can. I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
I
Yeah.
know.
How did you use these different modalities to help you, and what have you gotten out of these experiences for yourself?
So for me, I've done some hypnotherapy sessions for myself. So I just record them. I just record it on Zoom and then I go back and listen to the audio. And it's like, well, what do I want to create? What do I want to put in there? So I use that mostly for myself. The NLP has been so interesting because, being a business owner, sales and marketing is huge. And so the NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. Um, and it's interesting because there's a model. I'm in the AI tech world with my recruiting business. There's NLP, which is natural language processing. And that is
Right.
what
Yes.
AI and machine learning is based on, but they base that on NLP,
Yes.
neuro linguistic programming. And so I love that because it just gives you a different way to communicate and you understand how to get people to buy in. And it's not a manipulative thing at all. It's just a way to phrase things. And that's what I really liked about it. Now, the timeline therapy, that's really fascinating because what you're doing is you're kind of in a meditative state, but you go back to an event and you guide the person to go above the event and look at it and it's it's hard to explain, but when I was just taking the course, we practiced that on each other. And there was some stuff that came up that was like one and done, it's gone. Because you
Hmm.
look at it, because you're in a state, it's kind of spiritual. It's almost like you're viewing the event as a person from the outside looking in, and you're neutralizing it. And I love to use
Yeah.
that words, imagine, because it's like, oh, it happened. Okay, next.
Yeah. You've removed the emotions out of it, right?
That's right. You're neutralizing. And so that's what these three things combined kind of do is it neutralizes that trauma. So you look at it and you're like, oh yeah. Like for example, my brother died when I was 12. It's very traumatic. I lost my mom for 10 years. She went into a deep depression.
Mm.
And she did the best she could. But
Right.
it wasn't until within the first few minutes of holding my son that it was like, oh, the love is so incredible and immense, like you've never felt. But then there's that fear of loss.
Hmm.
And I understood just a tiny, tiny bit of what my mother must have went through. You know, I couldn't, and
Right.
thank God, my son's 25 now. That was hard because my brother died at 19. And my son, I swear, if reincarnation is a thing, my son is my brother reincarnated, hands down. You know, they look alike. The mannerisms, it's incredible. So getting my son past 19 was like, oh, thank God. Now he's 25, right? But
Yes.
I had post-traumatic stress disorder, which I
Hmm.
dismissed because I felt like that was reserved only for people who went to war and who were in the
Right.
military. I literally was like, oh no, that's not me. And that's so far from the truth because pain is
Yes.
pain. And whatever is the worst pain that you experience, that's real. That's your bar right there. You can't say that this pain is harder than this pain because I haven't felt that, but I know this and I can't
Right.
relate to that. So there is no, you can't say that one is worse than the other, but I did that to myself. I shamed myself. How
Hmm.
dare you feel like, you know, woe is me when look what all the rest of the world is going through.
Right.
And I
That
shamed myself
comparison
about
is
it.
really, really detrimental to our not only
Yes,
our mental health, but also to our healing. When we
that's
think,
right.
oh, my pain can't possibly be as valued as their pain because, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky I have XYZ. I mean, chances
Right.
are they're thinking the same thing you are.
That's right. You know, I want to share this with you, Angela, because one of my most profound interviews with my last podcast, Happiness Solved, I don't remember what episode it was, but I interviewed a girl named, her last name's Ingersoll. I have to look at, I can't remember her first name. I have 440 episodes, so it's kind of
Yes.
hard to remember everyone, but she's a quadriplegic. And at the age of, in her early 30s, she was a diver and a shallow diver, and she'd been doing it for years, and she had an accident, is paralyzed from the neck down, so she needs somebody to care for her 24/7. And I said to her, I'm like, there's got to be, you have to have bad days. Of course you have bad days. What do you do when you have a bad day and you're like, woe is me? Like, how do you get
Yeah.
out of that? You're a quadriplegic. like like I can't imagine, right? And she said to me, and I'll never forget this, she goes, I talked to a quadriplegic who's worse off than I am.
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah. So having that level of discernment and like, how dare I feel pity on myself when there's other people experience worse. There's some goodness to that because
Yes.
it's a perspective. However, you don't want it to impede your ability to clear that trauma either. You still have to clear the trauma because it's still real, you know.
Hmm.
It's still real and you still want to clear it in order to have a happy life and just to be able to be like, oh, so just to circle back and finish that thought, with my brother dying for so many years, every day, multiple times a day, the way that PTSD would show up is I would have panic attacks worrying about somebody dying.
Right. Yep.
And it was, when my son was born, then it was him. And it was just that I haven't had a panic attack worrying about him or anybody else dying in 4 years because I did some of this work to clear it. And
Beautiful.
that is such a beautiful gift because there's nothing worse than having, because I'm also very, highly intuitive. I'm very empathic. I've got different gifts and I don't know how to use it. I don't know how to discern it. I get these thoughts. Is it real or is it just because sometimes it's real, sometimes it's not. And I don't know the difference. And so when you have these premonitions or PTSD, like what is it? Is it a
Hmm.
premonition or is it just my PTSD? It was my
Right.
PTSD, but I didn't know, you know what I mean? Um, it was crazy. It was literally living like a crazy person, having that level of anxiety. And, thank God for these modalities because, folks, you can heal from that. No matter what it is, you can heal from it.
100%. And I think that, the ongoing work, like you said before, sometimes you'll go to bed with ear pods in and while you're listening to, I mean, I listen to something every night before I go to bed, and most of the times I'm doing it, there's sort of like a two-step to it. I need to shut this brain of mine up because it loves to think and it just does not like to be silent. Years ago, I remember saying to my husband, I was like, we were both in bed, and I was like, "What are you thinking about?" He goes, "Nothing." I'm like, "What do you mean nothing? Like you got to be thinking of something." He's like, "No, nothing." I'm like, "What is it? Just like black inside your head? Like what?" He's like, "Nothing." And so then I started to think, well, wait a second, why am I having all these thoughts and you're not having any? And so having these conversations with other people, going, well, wait, what are you doing when you go to bed? But the dual piece to it is I got to shut up the brain, so I've got to think about something
Right.
else that's not going to keep me on the train tracks of bearing down on all the things that have to be done tomorrow, and all the things I didn't do and all the shoulds and everything else. But the other side to it is, that meditative space or the positive thoughts, the positive thinking, and I do it in lots of different ways. Sometimes it's listening to a meditation. Sometimes it's listening to a short story that is meditative, right? In that way, or listening to some great music that are in different hertz and all those kinds of things. I think there's a lot of great ways that we can ease ourselves into the changes that we want to make in our lives, and trying to make all the changes are so hard.
Yeah.
Guess you make one at a time.
One at a time. Absolutely. You don't take on too much. And yeah. Yeah. But
So when you think about your journey, and so your first step into this journey was when you interviewed the NLP gentleman, right? I forgot his name already.
yes, Reg Malhotra. No,
Resh.
I had some introductory courses on it, but it was very high level. So I learned a couple of good exercises. It was very, very high level. It wasn't a paid course. I was in a group and we had an NLP, she's been doing this for decades. Her name's Brigada. I can't remember her last name. I'm just sometimes I tell you
Yeah.
age thing, but it was a very high level. But when I talked to him and I interviewed him and I did this deep dive during an interview, that was when I was like, and then he had like a free course, a 2-day free thing. And I went and I got to experience it. And I was like, sign me up. That's the best thing to do. If you are trying to sell a service, you offer free courses and let people try it out and, let them experience it. And it was just mind blowing. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so beautiful when something clicks, right? And I've I've said to my kids is like because sometimes they'll say, "Oh, well, what works for you, mom, doesn't work for me," those kinds of things. I'm like, "Well, just try it. Like try different things. You might not like it if you try it, but you might fall in love with it, but don't discount one just because, right? Like
Right.
even people will say, "Well, therapy doesn't work for me." Well, have you tried all the different kinds of therapy? Because there's like so
Right.
many different kinds of therapy, right?
Yeah. I mean, what I'm talking about today is just those are just three different modalities.
Right.
There's so many modalities out there that will help. They're all kind of doing a similar thing, but they're just structured a little different. But there's so many modalities that help remove childhood trauma. Like this is just one thing. And so you just pick which one that resonates with you.
Yeah, and the other side to it is finding the right practitioner. You have to feel
Right.
safe and comfortable with that person, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you resonate with them when you hear them talk? Do you like their voice? Does it feel good
Hmm.
listening to them? Like I've got a little bit of a raspy voice. Like some people don't like my voice. Some people love my voice, right? Whatever. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay.
Yes.
There's 8 billion people in the world. Like there's somebody out there, and sometimes they'll show up when you least expect it. And pay attention to that too. Pay attention to that, you know,
Yeah, there's lessons and messages all over the place, right?
all over the place. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, it's thank you so much for being here. I love talking about all the different pieces and the things that have come to light for you as you go through. And I know that you have a new book out, right? Your best-selling book, Happiness Solved.
Happiness Solved. Yeah, it came out in February of 21. Yeah, it's
Okay,
Happiness
okay.
Solved. My award-winning book is a novel that was for young adult fiction. I published it in 2009. I'm going to put this out here now because this is one of my goals. I had a contract for 5 books. The first one was published in 2009. The second one, I sent it to the publisher in 2010. I started going through a divorce, lost touch with
Mm,
her. I don't know what happened. She kind of went out of business. I don't even know. We just lost touch. So I
yeah.
have a book, the second one, that's been written since 2010, and it's called Beginning to Remember, where we're tapping in and we're remembering stuff that we knew when we were children. So
Hmm.
I've put the two together. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to put it out there and release it as a new novel. And yeah, I'm just really excited about it because that one won, it was a finalist in 2 book awards, which was
Beautiful.
legit and great. And yeah, it was just it was kind of ahead of its time, I think. I think now more people are more open to it. But yeah,
That's so
excited about
exciting.
that.
I love to hear about these new projects.
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome. Well, you have to let
exactly.
us know when you start to get moving on that.
Yeah, for sure. I actually have the manuscripts just sitting here because I'm a
Okay.
paper, you know, and I have it sitting there and I've got to go through. I want to make it a little bit more relevant for today because it was written in 2000.
Hmm.
I started writing it in 2004, actually.
Right.
So this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
this is a 22-year project, 22-year-old project that I need to finish. Just kind of like my gold medal in ice dancing. Like I need to finish this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people
Yes.
don't realize all the work that goes into putting a book together, regardless of whether it's fiction or nonfiction. The bits and pieces that go into becoming a writer in the actual publication
Yeah.
of the book. It's wild. I've written one book myself. I've got two others on the go, but
Yeah.
it's
Well, and
it is a journey.
it is a journey. And, the only thing now is like now it's hard to trust what's real, what was really written and what was written by AI. And that was, that's kind of in the back of my mind, like, because I did write this before AI, and I'm like, but I'm going to put it out there regardless, because it's
Yes.
my work. It's my work and nobody else's. And so, yeah.
That is super exciting.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Of course, all of your links and your more extended bio will be in the show notes for everyone to read so they can get a bigger, broader picture of who you are, and send us links to your books as well so we can put those in the show notes.
Absolutely. Angela, thank you. This has been such a pleasure, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Okay, thank you very much. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Overgivers Anonymous podcast. Your support means the world to me. You can find show notes for this episode and other goodies at overgiversanonymous.ca. And if you enjoyed this episode or you enjoyed the podcast in general, why not join us in the Overgivers Anonymous Facebook group, where you can connect with overgivers from all over the world. Head on over to geekygirl.ca/group.